Okay, so there's kind of a question here about what your favorite questions to ask when you're being interviewed are. So I think there's a few things that to consider here, right? Some are like what are questions of things that you really feel like you need to know? And another one, what are things that you feel like you want to do some showmanship and be like, yeah, I'm interested. And then there's also kind of the category of just kind of getting more insight of what the company's like. For me, here are some of the things that I ask is I definitely always ask, what is it like to work there? Can you walk me through a day in the life of an engineer, right? So it's like they'll say, oh, well, we have this ticket system and you pull off a ticket and you get to work and then blah, 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 blah. That's kind of the most basic form of it, but it can be pretty insightful as to like, is a product manager making the tickets? Is it like a lead dev making the tickets? Who's organizing things? And you can kind of figure this stuff out by like further asking questions of like who makes the tickets. Do you end up talking back and forth about things and tickets and so on and so forth? So I just find that question can provide a lot of insight. Um, so I personally recommend that. There are also some interesting questions I've heard of before about builds and compiling, just like deploying. It's like, do you have a one-click deploy basically? And it's an interesting question because it can actually reflect a lot of like the software culture. Do they have good devs who are kind of like setting up good systems that make life easier? That kind of thing. It doesn't have to be a one-click deploy, but the more automated it is, the better it is. Those are two important things for me. I think you can kind of get deeper into things like what's the culture like, so on and so forth. How do you guys connect or collaborate? It's like how that kind of stuff. I would say just generally ask questions that provide insight on what the culture is going to be like and just generally what it's going to be like working there. And I saw these questions that this person posted about promotions and vacation. I think those are pretty interesting questions. I've never really asked that kind of stuff, but I think that's a lot of I think that can provide a lot of insight, I will say. So something to consider. But I generally I try to read people, try to figure out the situation of like what is it actually going to be like working with the people here, and is essentially is life going to be hell or is life going to be good in terms of micromanagement, or am I being passed my tickets? How many meetings am I going to end up joining? Are people going to leave me alone to do my work? So just a lot of stuff to consider there. But yeah, I guess those are kind of like the first two are pretty much my most important questions personally.